All right, welcome to our next step in our painting called My First Painting. Quick recap of what we've done so far. We started with liquid white, so that video is in the library. All these will be broken into chunks. So first video was liquid white. Second video was putting in the sky and the water. Third video is the clouds. Fourth video is the mountain with the highlighted side with the snow, it's the shadow side, putting mist there at the bottom of the mountain. Next video after that is putting in these distant footy hills, so not much detail there. That little pop straight up stroke is what gives you all of the tree effect there. A little bit of reflection on this side as it's coming closer to us. It just feels closer because we got taller with our reflection. We put in a water line, and now we are ready to move forward. I am feeling big, strong, evergreen kind of tree over here. Maybe it stops in a peninsula, but helps set all that way back there. And then we'll finish this up with something over here and probably some cool reflections up close, something like that. Not sure exactly. So I am going to use, let's use a number 6 fan brush. This is a big one. This would come brand new, much lighter than this in color up here, but this one has helped create many a masterpiece. So I know it's an experienced brush, meaning it is ready to help us take this masterpiece right onto the finish line. I'm going to uncover some odorless paint thinner. I've just transferred it into a smaller jar, so as we need to thin down this paint as we're working our way forward, we will. And I just want to do the main part of the tree, and I'm going to do it really dark. I'm not going to use green yet, so I'm actually going to use some of my mountain mix. So I'm going to wiggle my brush back and forth. Pull it gently. Don't jab paint into these fan brushes. That won't give you the effect you're looking for. You need to wiggle. Am I on? Maybe I missed that. Let me do that again. Wiggle. Let me do it from the side also so you can see. I've got a pretty good angle. Lots of the bristle is laying on the palette when I'm doing that wiggle. That really helps that paint get deep in there. You can use up some of this blue too, that's fine. The blue is very thick. The mountain mix is a little bit thinner, a mixture than that blue. But then I want to smooth it out like I'm sharpening a knife on both sides. And then look straight down the edge of that knife. That looks good against the backdrop of the canvas. You can see how sharp that paint will pull that too. So now oftentimes Bob would give himself a little center line to follow. I don't really think that was for him. I can't prove that. I'd love to ask him that. Maybe when I'm done riding this rock and maybe I'll get to hang out in forever with Bob for a while and paint. How cool would that be? I'd have a few questions as well. Just for my own curiosity. So I think the center line was for us to follow at home. Plus, people would often go, "Oh, he's just dropped a great big tree across my favorite part." Well, that may have happened, but don't worry about it. If you see some wiggle in my hand, that's true. I don't have the steadiest hand in the world. You don't have to. These trees live in your fan brush. You just got to give them a shake. Let me show you how to do 2 different kinds. I'm going to do a kind of a down branch one first, then we'll do one opposite and have the branches more of a curve up. So I'm just going to touch with the corner first. Speed is your friend here too. And just start pushing in a little deeper with the brush as you're coming down. Go back to the middle, go back to the left, move over to the middle, come to the right. Fight the urge to do these exactly repetitively. I'd also encourage you to fight the urge to chase the shape of the brush back and forth like this with the brush. That will not work for you. I'm just going to reload because I'm coming across some colors. I'm going to get down here in the middle. There's still some liquid white there. I want this tree to stay good and dark. I'm going to move back up just to tie my colors and branches together and just keep going with what we were doing. See, I'm just pushing with more and more of the brush. I'm getting further to the bottom of my tree, so it would get a little wider probably, and we'll just have our tree meet the ground right here. How about that? Maybe that's where our trees are going to come live. We could go ahead and do a peninsula land here if we want to. We could just put out, see, I'm just pushing. There's no sliding the brush. Look at all those great grassy and bushy and curvy kind of shapes this fan brush has given me. And look how much paint is coming off. That's how much paint I had in there doing that first tree. So we're going to do another tree. That tree needs a friend, don't you think? I think so. Everybody needs a friend. So does a tree. So let's get a good another load of paint. Same way. I don't have to wiggle this time, really. I'm just smoothing it out both sides. You can wiggle if you want to. Nothing wrong with a little wiggle. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Pull it straight through. Now let's make this next tree same kind of we did. So we'll do another down tree, and then we'll give them a third friend, and we'll do that one kind of different. So I've just given us a center line to follow again. It's kind of funny, the dogs have peeked in at me here a couple of times. They're like, who are you talking to, old man? They look at me like I'm crazy anyway, so that's okay, I don't mind. So just give them a push. Keep going, give them a shake. These limbs would overlap each other. They would do all of that. One thing I will definitely encourage you to do, leave some space in here like this. Couple reasons. Peapod the pocket squirrel needs a place to sit and have a sandwich. So he and his buddies need to go out there and have a safe place to get in out of the cold. Maybe if you chopped them off, you can tuck a few other branches in here like this, but don't try to go touch up your trees like crazy. You wind up just flattening them out and making them ugly. You won't like them. But more importantly, besides peapod, leave these areas so you can see through them. You can see through them to your shoreline. It really helps that feeling and illusion of distance being way, 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 way back there for you. So now let's give this, well, you know, I'm not going to explain how all this works, but if you had a vista like this, but you had no internet or television or telephone, and you got two trees sitting there, Bob's told us 1,000 times, pretty soon you're going to have a third tree. So let's just go ahead and get that part over with. And we'll make this tree a little shorter. Just give ourselves that center line to follow. And let's do this as an up tree this time. All I mean by that is I'm going to push the bristles and let them bend up instead of down. Remember, we came this way. See the angle of my hand? I'm just going to push it up this time. So let's just push up, and we'll just tie them together. This one may look a little more Christmas-like to you. Maybe a little more Griswold family Christmas tree. That's okay. Christmas Vacation, I guess I chuckle to admit to you, is my favorite movie. So between that and Grumpy Old Men, I'm pretty sure a couple of those characters are based on me. So, or perhaps I'm based on, I don't know which way that goes, but that's where a lot of my jokes come from, is those kind of movies. So did you see that? That's all I did. I just pushed up just to let those bristles and branches bend up on that tree. So I'm just touching it gently again. So you see all those little springy kind of things. Spriggy. And let's just clean out our brush and put a little more something for us to highlight and build some land with down here. Ooh, you know what we'll do? We're going to have some awesome reflection here. So I can go ahead and do that. I've got enough color still in this brush. Just pull straight down. Underneath your tree, you might have to pull in a little extra. And you just got to do the reflection the opposite way that you put the tree in. So look at that. Just that fast, you get instant reflection. So we'll pull some dark down here and really get some beautiful reflection for these gymundous trees that we've got. We can do reflection the way I did, pulling in that detail, or we can just pull it with the brush. Either way works. Straight down is the key. Maybe you liked it better with the little more detail, so we can do that. That's all right. No worries. You just crash those in there pretty quick. Do them quick. We're still not done with the reflection yet, so we're going to come back and do the treatment to make that reflection really sing. We just need something there to do. Okay? There we go. So we'll hold that one over to the side. Let's get our 1-inch brush that we used for our footy hills. That'll work just fine to finish off these reflections. I'm just brushing some of that paint color out of it. Nothing magic here. Because ever so gently, I want to just soften this a bit. Just soften. So I'm going to pull straight down again. No pressure. No pressure, especially over where we did the big trees. No pressure. No pressure. If I haven't mentioned it, no pressure. No pressure. We just want to disturb it, just barely diffuse it, because we're going to put some highlights on it, and we'll do this reflection piece again. So you have got to be gentle here, or you're going to ruin all your hard work. Give it ever so gentle a move across. And this is gentle like we were on the clouds. Oh, my word, is this gentle. Oh, it feels so good when it works. Don't you love it when you see it get watery like that? Oh, I love it every time. Every time I love it. And let's just leave that like that for right now. Fabulous. Let's keep on going. So now we're going to put a trunk in the middle of that tree. Let's go over to our Van Dyke Brown. Cut ourselves off that little roll of paint. And I like to do it like this. I think you can see, okay, all I did was flip my hand over. So my paint is right there, and I like to have it like this in my hand. So I'm just going to touch, touch, touch a couple places, let the canvas pull off what it wants. It's going to give me back the rest, because we would not be able to see all of a tree trunk in the middle of a pine tree, an evergreen tree like this. Not even close, because all we've done is paint the back of the tree. I'm just making this one a little bigger. The big Papa Bear tree has a big old tree trunk right there in the middle, so he stays up strong in these winter times. So does Mama Tree here. And there we go. That's a little stronger. Baby tree is going to get along just fine. If you want to add a few more sticks and twigs that kind of grow in your forest, that's cool. It's a great time to do it, because we're going to do some highlights on these trees. You can just put in, maybe there's a dead tree. Dead tree might happen. May not happen in your world. Hey, that's cool. But if it does, you just kind of touch them in with the knife. Just let the canvas be pulling off what it wants. You kind of vary your hand a little bit. Get a few sticks and twigs going off the edge of your canvas. Those look fantastic when you put them in a frame, because just because your canvas ends right there on the edge does not mean nature's done with all her magic out there, does it? No, it doesn't. That's right. I'll hold both sides of the conversation. That's okay. All right, so let me show you something cool about having blue and mountain mix on your big brush. Go right into some of your cad yellow here. Just pull it over to the side so we can keep using it. But watch this. Yellow and blue do what? They turn green. So let's get a nice, beautiful green mixed up. Might need just a couple drops of paint thinner, because we're going to put this thinner paint onto our thick paint, which is that mountain mix and blue we've already got up there. And leave this all varied. Don't worry about it being varied in color. I don't want to do snow on these. Snow's up on the mountain. I don't feel like snow's down here in these today. I want the little one to be closest to us, and big old Papa Tree back here way back in the distance. I'm going to do the exact same thing I did to build this tree, and I'm just going to touch. There's much less highlight on this side of the tree. Vary the amount of the brush that you touch the canvas with. That helps give your branches some shape and dimension. Go across the middle where you've put your tree trunk in, and naturally let it get lighter, as you less highlight or lighter like that as you get closer to the bottom. Pick up a little more paint, so we're ready to do our second tree. And by doing this one second, it's going to pull it right in front of that big old tree that's back there in the back. Let some of these arms cross over to the other side of the foresty mix here. That's going to help just pop that tree out. Walk these back and forth. Just have them vary. Make sure you have them vary. Otherwise, you're in danger of making them look real flat. I fought that for a long time as I was learning how to do this, and I could not figure out what was wrong. And thankfully, I was in a class, and the instructor said, well, Dan, you're just using the same amount of the brush every time. That's the only way it can look. Now see, on our little tree there, I just did the push up, so I followed those branches that we put in. Just wanted to point that out. So then it made total sense to me. Let's move over to our 1-inch brush that we've done our reflection on. Wait, before we get too far ahead of ourselves here, let's put in a little bit of that reflection of this color. So we're just going to put a few highlights on. Just a few. You don't need much in the water. You don't need much in the water at all. You just want the indication of some of these giving you some reflection. Just a few. Just a few. Doesn't take much. Just a few. Just a few. And go the other way when we went the other way. Let's clean off our brush just a smidge. That's a pretty delicate part. Just about made a little mud there. That's okay. We don't have mistakes. We just have happy accidents. We learn things. We keep going. Thin down my paint a little bit. And just touch. Touch and let it bend just ever so slightly. And just mimic. Don't have to copy a few of our little ones there. Now, what do we want to do? Let's have some dirt over here on this side of our land. So I'm just going to grab some brown. Let's go ahead and put a nice ribbon of white through that, just so it kind of looks like sand. And we're just going to have some dirt holding up our peninsula of land here, our trees, our bushy things that we're fixing to highlight. And all I am doing, I started very small here, and that's a larger stroke down here. As I got to the side, I let it get bigger because this side is getting closer to us. Here, I'll repeat with a little bit of highlight and try to make that a little larger so it's a little bit more obvious. There you go. Now you should be able to see that. And see, it's just narrower out there on the point. I'm not worried about this edge being exact, not at all. If you want to get a little crazy with your knife, I would highly recommend getting crazy with your knife. Here and there and here, just give a little tug. Anywhere you'd want to see some reflection of your dirt, and this is subtle, don't do much of this. Straight down with the edge of your knife, straight down, straight down. You won't see this a lot, but if you're subtle with it and straight down with it, it really looks amazing on the finished go there. So let's do a few more highlights on our grassy things here. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? I think we're feeling like big old bright highlights in front. So I'm going to go straight into some liquid white in the brush I use to do reflection. And then I'm going to go right into this pretty green and a little bit more yellow. So it's more on the yellow side for these highlights. So they'll definitely stand out from the bushes. And we'll put some of this into the water as well. So I've gone into the paint, pulled in one direction and one direction only, letting the entire end of my fan brush, 1-inch brush, be in contact with the canvas. I'm really looking to get it to have these things pop off. That means I've got them on the end of my brush. So it made one of the edges curved. I was pulling it towards the crimped edge. So I was pulling it like this towards me. And now I'm going to roll and have that side be up at the canvas. So let's go, let's do this highlight first. I'm going to go just above the dark and just ever so gently push in. Don't slide. Don't let your brush slide here. Just turn it however you want the bush to be shaped. As you get more comfortable with this, you will push a little deeper and create thousands and thousands and thousands of leaves and twigs and all kinds of things with just a few pushes of your brush. It really is incredible. The thing I'd caution you against here is too much repetitiveness. It is easy to keep making the same shape because it gets to feeling good and it's working. And that's okay. It's a great place to learn, and when you recognize that, just move on from it. So just let something else happen with your brush. You get over here towards the edge. What do we say about the edge of our canvas? Nature doesn't end there just because we're out of canvas. So maybe we've still got trees and bushy things growing right down to the water there like that. There we go. That turned out pretty good. So now let's grab a little more of that highlight color while we're here and just ever so gently just reverse it. Just push some of that color down into the water. You do not have to get this shape exactly right. It does not have to match it perfectly because it's going to give you the indication. It's just going to give you the indication. roughly get the same shape. That's one of the beauties of this technique. You just need the idea. Now I switched to that brush we were using before because I want to use a clean one on here, because don't forget, we've already done 2 layers of reflection here. I do not want this to all vanish on me when we ever so gently go over that, pull straight down, just barely kiss it, barely touch. Knock off any excess. I don't think we pulled down on the tree part, so let's do that. Pull down, and then again, ever so gently, ever so gently, ever so gently. Oh, did you see it? It just happened. It did it again. I love it when it works. Gives me goosebumps every time. Glad you saw that too. Oh, doesn't that feel good? Doesn't that feel good? Cool. So now let's just pick up a little bit of green. I just want to do something there at the edge to break up some of that starkness of our water edge. So I'm just going to see what we get. Give it a little push up with just the corner of our brush. We'll just put a few little grassy things in. Let's put a few little green wanderers down here on this edge. Another one that you don't need tons of, but just one of those little things that if you take care of this, man, does it just, it totally sets your dirt down in your painting. Makes it so believable and so visually appealing. And let's cut in a little water line, and we're going to be done with this installment of the video. Whoa, this one's a long one. Sorry, this is 21 minutes of fun here on this peninsula. But boy, this is worth it. This is worth it, as is, oh, do I like waterline on this side of the pond. Man, does it just make the detail sing for you and ring. I hope you can see some of that dirt we pulled down on the video. I don't know if the way I'm recording it's getting it good enough. Well, we'll continue to improve the video quality and recording equipment as we go. But if you keep these mostly horizontal, even though I'm working down an angle, you know, you can see that my angle of my dirt is like this, but my water lines are straight across. So man, you can put a little ripple across some of your reflections. That just really sells the reality view of them, in my opinion. Really makes it look like that water is deep and still, and if you throw paint on the floor in your own studio, no problem. Just disturb the water here and there, and there and here. And we are going to draw this video to a close. I'm sorry this got a little bit longer than we wanted. Maybe we'll have this one sped up just a smidge in some slower parts so that we can get it finished off in a reasonable time. Last thing I'm going to show you, because I see an area that's just begging for it. Anywhere in here you've got a little dark area, you can easily just scratch in a few sticks and twiggy looking things. Don't overdo this. But man, when this dries, that will really look magical. So good. I hope you found that very useful. That turned out pretty good. All right. We'll see you on the next one.